Hey, what is up, guys? It is Rapmark here. Slightly delayed, but here is my Lightyear film review. The newest Pixar full movie. This one based on the actual Buzz Lightyear. Um, so, what did I think of this? Well, to be honest, I thought it was going to be better than it was. I don't believe I did a reaction on the trailer, unfortunately. Um, but honestly, I thought this was going to be just totally a cash grab. Um, I thought that it definitely wouldn't be as good. I mean, I knew it was going to be competent just because Pixar is such an amazing studio that has made such amazing things. I mean, let's be honest here. Some of my favorite and most emotionally evocative movies like that I've seen have come from the studio. So I don't think I ever thought that it was going to be a bad movie, but I did think it would be subpar. And to be fair, in my opinion, where it stands with other Pixar movies, it is subpar. You know, if it wasn't for the fact that it was a Pixar movie, I would have probably given this a higher score than I ultimately give it to it, which I'll go in later. Um, so yeah, I mean, when you think of Pixar, like, obviously, I think Toy Story. I think, I believe Wally was one of theirs. Yeah, there was a lot. There was there was a crap ton. I know Red was. Yeah, they had a lot of really good ones, very emotional ones, and I mean they're all very highly scored. So I mean, compared with all those, I mean this one just hits a sort of middle of the track, like subpar Pixar movie, and a very in terms of just a movie overall. Um, I mean, it hits sort of the average, above average type uh, score for like what I've seen. I mean, did I like the story? The story itself was it was okay. Um, but it didn't seem as, tight or as focused as some of the others are. It seemed just sort of like, I mean, it was for sure. It just felt like a generic origin story, I guess you could say, which I believe is fair. It was an origin story. It just seemed very generic. The characters, there were characters that I did enjoy. I loved Socks, the cat. Obviously Buzz. Most of the others I didn't really think much of. I mean, he had his partner Alicia, and then her granddaughter, I believe, Izzy. Let me check. Yeah, so Izzy Hawthorne. Yeah, Alicia Hawthorne and Izzy Hawthorne. Um, and most of the others, like I literally just have to look. I mean, then there was Emperor Zurg, um, which was bizarre. Apparently, they're named the Zurg because that's all they can say, and because they can't say Buzz, and it's super weird. Like I'll get into it in spoilers, but yeah, there's some weird convoluted uh, stuff about it, which I did actually enjoy. Um, but a lot of the emotional stuff that they tried to get you with, because I mean, again, Pixar is great at these emotional movies. Like they are just so like just emotionally evocative I mean, in more than a few of them, I have ended up crying. It was insane. And yet they're still very child friendly, which, I think is absolutely great. So, yeah, going and again, like you go into the characters, there's only maybe a handful that I actually can remember off the top of my head. I mean, I remember the team, but it's just like they just they didn't really stick with me. These aren't characters that I have an emotional investment in. Uh, I mean, I've maybe a slight connection, but like the investment is very, very, very weak. I just thought it was amusing to see that Taika Waititi was in here. He was the voice of Mo Morrison, so he was the guy that threw the spear. He was very accident prone. So I mean that was amusing. I think the casting was great. Like Chris Evans as Lightyear, because it was Tim Allen's role for a long time. Um, Honestly, I thought that he did fine. He did a great job. I don't think they missed a beat. To be completely honest, he he knocked it out of the park. So And let me be very clear, like with some of the criticisms that I bring on this. Again, the characters they didn't hook me. The humor was okay. Like there were some jokes that hit, but there were some jokes that just seemed ham-fisted and didn't really work for me. I mean, a lot of the complaints that you'll hear me make about this is not a bad film. This is in the grand scheme of things, this is above average film, but it just seems really below par for a Pixar movie. And like, I want to see where the heck this place is at. So there are 26 Pixar movies, and I mean, Toy Story 2 and Toy Story 1 are number one at both hundreds in terms of rating. You have to get all the way down to 19, which is Onward, which was 88%, which I mean is high. I still think it deserved better. I mean, it wasn't the best. I still would have put it in the 90s though. So we go, and some of the worst ones were the Cars. Yeah, the Cars were some of the worst ones. I don't know why it got so much hate. I mean, it wasn't for me, but I didn't think it was like awful. Just more of a kids movie, I guess, for me. But I don't know. And then the Good Dinosaur. So Lightyear is 21. So it is. Wow, they totally messed up the placement on this. So they put it as 21 and 25, whereas Brave has 78 and is 22, and The Good Dinosaur is at 23 and 76. Yeah, I'll buy that for $1. Okay, so whoever set up this table was, not paying attention or is incompetent, but whatever. So in reality, Brave 21, Good Dinosaur 22. So Lightyear would be 23 of 26 with only the Cars franchise below it. And it kind of deserves that. Because, like I said, as a normal movie, this is above average. But as Pixar, it just doesn't. It's not what I would expect from such a beloved and very talented studio that Pixar has proven itself off to be. This seems like, I'm not going to say it's as cynical as like a cash grab, But it definitely does seem like this is more a corporate project, you know, and not even a passion project. Just, this seems like something we could make money off of. And so go ahead and do this story, which is unfortunate because it feels that way. It doesn't feel as tight. It doesn't. You don't have that connection. There were still a lot of good things to be had with this movie. Like I said, I love the cat. I loved Buzz Lightyear, um, but you just didn't. It just didn't have the same sort of emotional hits that you know Toy Story, Up, and Wally. All those ones that I'll fully admit I freaking teared up. I mean, hell, Toy Story 4. A movie which when it came out, I was just like, why are you doing this? This totally seems like a cash grab. And honestly, it turned out to be absolutely amazing. I teared up and everything. It was an amazing film. It took me by surprise. And to be fair, from how cynical I thought this movie was going to be, I thought it was going to be bad. It turned out to be better than I initially thought it would be. Um, I did like how they did the villain. I mean, it seems very cookie cutter, and then they take an interesting twist on it, which I'll get into in spoilers. But I did like what they did there. Um, and there was a good message to be had in this movie. Like most Pixar movies, there was a good message. The problem is it just wasn't emotional enough to hammer that message home. There are 25 other Pixar films that, well, I wouldn't say 25 do it better, but there are like 23 Pixar films, 22 Pixar films that do it better. So yeah, that's about where I'm at with this. So what did I decide to give this? This is a 6. You know, this is one that you'd probably be fine watching on Disney Plus. Going and seeing it in theaters. I mean, it was fun, but it was just like this is what I could have watched at home, reviewed right afterwards. Um, Yeah, so I'm giving this a 6, which is still above average. For a movie, this is not a bad movie. I would never say this is a bad movie. This is actually a good movie. It's just not Pixar standard good, in my opinion. So that I think is it for the actual review. Um, so I will see you in spoilers here in a little bit. So see you there. See ya. Hey guys, it is Rapmark here. So, here with the spoilers section of this movie. So, I love how it starts. So there's sort of a framing device that is just like in 1995. Andy, as you know from Toy Story, saw Lightyear, the film that inspired the Buzz Lightyear storyline. And this is that movie. So that's kind of great. So this is the movie, and this is sort of Buzz Lightyear. So they're on a ship. I'm not I'm not exactly sure where they're going. Um, I'm assuming a colony ship or something like that. I don't fully know, but anyway, they get this signal and they're going to that the planet is like has life, is inhabitable. So they go to explore it. Uh, why they take the whole ship, who knows? But Buzz Lightyear he's established as this guy who likes to do things on his own. He doesn't like having rookies around, as he puts it. And even though that's what the procedure is, so the new recruit, a man named Feath- Featheringham Stan, what a terrible name. Yeah, so he takes it. He's eventually captured by this sort of plant-like thing, which I mean, I thought I was going to play it a little bit differently in this movie. I thought it would have a bit more of a component. But no, it's just used as this sort of like running joke throughout the movie in which various people are like dragged off by roots. So, I mean, there's that. That one, it started off funny, but it eventually got old, and I'm glad they kind of just they kind of they never really stopped it, but they eased back on it from how they did it in the beginning, where it was done all the time, and it was just like this is getting old. So anyway, they get stuck uh, after trying to escape the plant that's capturing the spaceship. It destroys the fuel container, so he has to essentially build the fuel from scratch. But as he does this, so every time he tries this, it fails. It gets close, but then it eventually fails. And when he gets back, like 4 years passes, and then 4 years again, 4 years again, and all of these people are just getting older. Like Alicia meets someone, gets married, has a kid, and for all those people who are complaining about like that, it's not ham-fisted to you. It really isn't. Like, I will talk out about if I think a movie is overdoing a message. And this didn't feel like that. It really didn't. It felt, you know, I'm not going to say organic because you don't see a lot of it. It just sort of happens. But it seems, it's surface level stuff. It's not really telling you anything. It's just, his sort of partner is, or commander or whatever, you know, fell in love and is in a same-sex relationship. So I don't care about that. People saying like that same-sex marriage kissing scene is bad. Just like get over yourselves. Come on. This is a show of love. It does not matter what your sexuality is. Hell, I've kissed another man and I'm straight. Give me a break. So yeah, anyone saying that, go screw themselves. That was kind of touching. I like seeing the sort of as time goes on, things go. Like she has a son, and then he has a daughter, and then his daughter. So yeah, we'll get into that. So anyway, she dies. A new one comes in, and they're just like, no, we're gonna make this home. But Buzz can't let go of it. He's just like, this is my fault, so I have to fix this. So but after like 62 years, his cat Socks, who is given by Alicia to sort of keep him sane, keep him company after everyone he knows like passes away, because that's well, obviously what's going to happen. Um, Comes up with the fuel that they need, but the new commander, he's all like, no, we're scrapping the program. And that part I can understand, but the part of them scrapping the program with the cat, like that's where I was just like, all right, you're kind of crossing a line here. This is like going from like just a difference of opinion to sort of kind of antagonistic. Like this is a psychological like program designed to like help him cope with everything, and just like take it away. Come on. So that's one thing I can say I was not a fan of them doing. It made the commander more sinister than I think he was intended to be, and ultimately ended up being. So yeah, so that one I think was a little too much. And I mean, I guess the point was to try to get him to escape and get the fuel and all that stuff, but it just seemed a little heavy. ham-fisted. Uh, and again, it made the commander seem a lot more sinister than he actually is. So they go to test the fuel, and he does it. He actually succeeds in entering hyperspace. But when he comes back, 22 years have passed, in which case it is now being invaded by these robots who they call the Zerg because that's all they can say. And again, so then there's Emperor Zurg. You meet him, and I will say I actually did enjoy what they did here because there are times where he literally bypasses other people. Like I don't understand why he's trying to attack the colony, and I mean I can kind of get a rationale behind it. I'll get into that in just a little bit, talking about Emperor Zurg, but yeah, it just seems like yeah, I don't understand why they're attacking the colony. And then he himself bypasses many other people just to get at Buzz, who he wants to come with him. And as it turns out, uh, it's Buzz from the future, which is kind of cool. Like I said, this is a different alternate reality. So when it comes to time travel, there are two sort of theories, especially the way Hollywood portrays it with Hollywood. You have the Back to the Future, which there is just one timeline and everything you do can affect what happens on that timeline. And then you have the sort of Marvel timeline where if you change something in a timeline, it doesn't change that future. It just branches out another, branch in the timeline. So you end up in an alternate reality having done that because, that happened. So it takes the Marvel sort of rules when it comes to this, when it comes to time travel and stuff like that, because he does, after showing himself to be nice, um, and he's just like, everything can go back. All your friends will be back. You can go back into space and be space rangers, but they'll lose everything. All of this will be lost. All the people's relationships, friends, kids, everything growing up, that'll be gone, and so will Izzy. And yeah, so it's sort of like a nihilistic type of Buzz who, when he came back, they tried to arrest him and then he escaped and somehow found himself upon these robotic creatures. And it doesn't really explain how or why. I don't know. Some things in here sound like they could, make a sequel, possibly a trilogy. I don't know. Hopefully they can do a better job if they do. I don't know if I don't know what to make of that. We'll just have to see how it goes. um, but yeah, it better be better than this one. It better be like Toy Story 2, which again, both Toy Story 1 and 2 were at hundreds for at least the ratings I was looking at. And Toy Story 2 is still said to be improved. It improved upon the first one, so there's that. So maybe, but we'll have to see. But yeah, in terms of trying to escape, destroy the Zerg, he meets the team, so to speak. So obviously you have Socks the cat, who I actually enjoyed way more than I thought I was going to. It seems so dumb and it seemed just hackney, but I was attached to that character. I will say that was one of the characters that I can say I was I was fully attached to. So anyway, owie. So the team essentially being Izzy Hawthorne, Alicia's granddaughter, Mo Morrison, Darby Steele, who is a paroled convict who can make a bomb out of any three things. She's great. Again, I'm not really invested, but I do like her as a character. So I like the so I best the best way to say this is I like the characters, but I wasn't invested in the characters. Moore Morrison is the one who is, fairly incompetent, and I'm just kind of meh about him. And then Izzy, like she is so wants to be like her grandmother. She tries to complete the sentences. It doesn't really work out. She messes up. She messes up a lot, and makes a big mess up in losing the ejecting the fuel canister, and then Buzz gets captured by Zurg and the fuel. And that's where you get into Zurg, and you find out that yes, it is an older Zurg who, through the his travels, he found this, and then he discovered time travel. He can do time travel with this fuel. So he assumes Zurg's identity. I don't know. Like some theories that I've read about this is that he assumed Zurg's identity, and another one is that they say Zurg because they can't say Buzz, and that's how they say Buzz is Zurg, and it's just like, uh, okay, so I don't know how they're explaining that, but anyway, so maybe there is an Emperor Zurg out there. Uh, Again, maybe they'll say more in the sequel. I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel about this being turned into a franchise, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, Izzy's an interesting one because she is afraid of space. She is terrified of space, but she has to go through space to save Buzz at some point when he's fighting against Zurg, who's trying to get the fuel because he wants to go back and prevent the vessel from landing on that crazy planet in the first place. But Buzz realizes that he doesn't want to take away, like, and that's the message. It's just, what essentially is life? What is experience? If you were to have a mess up like that, and think about how many of us go through that. It's just like how many times have we messed up, and would we really go back and try to change it? Would we do the same thing, or would we determine that it's not worth it in the very end because all the experiences that are there now, they happened, and if they don't ex, like he'd be on an alternative timeline, because again we're going by Marvel rules where there's our alternative timeline, so multiple universes, not the Back to the Future where it's just one single timeline and anything you do to change it just would screw the whole whole works. So they fight. He does escape, and eventually he has to destroy the fuel. So, and in destroy, he accepts the fact that they're gonna be there forever. And then when they get back, uh, he doesn't get court-martialed. They say that they're going to call that home. He accepts that as home, and they restart the Space Rangers and Star Command on this crazy and weird planet. And he's going to be the first team. And they ask he asks to take any three of the elite troops to be, and he's just like he rejects that, and he said he already got his team, and so yes, that is his team. Izzy, Buzz, Socks, and Mo, and Darby. So yeah, like I said, I did enjoy this film, and there are a couple post credit scenes, so we'll go on that. But anyway, so they go off on adventures, and there's three. I mean, some don't matter. Some are relatively dumb. Like one is the robot who is given instructions. He's still given instructions, and that's that. But the last one, Zurg is revealed to have survived the explosion. So, and again, it's not established. Is this the real Zurg? Is Zurg even a real thing? Where did these robots come from? So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the air that they could set up to sequel bait, but I don't know. So, anyway, so there's that. But yes, this was a good movie. It did have a good message. And, in spite of what conservative pundits say, leaving out Tim Allen, like, I think Chris Evans did a great job. I think he did a great job. And honestly, the kissing, like, it was one kissing scene. It was barely even a scene. I mean, you see them together a few more times as he comes back, and they're just slowly getting older. But I mean, come on, that's silly. That's silly. There was nothing wrong with that scene or seeing a same-sex relationship. So yeah, whatever. I thought that was fine. But again, like I said, this was a good one. It had a good message, but the problem was is I just wasn't as emotionally invested in this one as I have been in other movies. There weren't any real tear-jerker moments for me. Um, the characters again I liked, but I wasn't invested in, and that's the problem. This feels like the start of an idea. And I don't know if they make a second and the third one. Like, I hope it's better. I hope it has the whole Toy Story 1, Toy Story 2 thing going for it. But most franchises don't really have that. So I don't know. As itself, it felt generic. It didn't feel like it had the Pixar magic, you know, of that would make me cry. The story was, slightly nonsensical, uh, kind of generic. I did love the sci-fi aspects of it, but yeah, like I said, it didn't have like the catchy music, like you would think in Toy Story or Up, or even like the instrumentals of like Wally. It just seemed so generic, which is like I wanted it to be. I want I what so I went into it thinking it would be awful. It wasn't awful, but I wanted it to be better. And it's Pixar. I know they could do better. This just seemed like sort of a corporate movie, if that makes sense. Like someone in a suit just saying, "Let's make this movie. This will make money. Go." Rather than a passion project, which I know quite a few of those movies actually started out as. So yeah, 6 out of 10. Uh, do better Pixar, but ultimately not a bad one. Like when it comes out on streaming, I'd say this is a good children's one. Sit down and watch with your kids. Uh, it's a fun watch, and it's not a bad movie at all. It's just more generic than I wanted it to be. So anyway, that is it for me on new Lightyear film. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. See ya.